to Polymer Clay TV. I'm Elisa, and first I wanted to say thank you so much for being with us this last 10 years. We are celebrating our 10th year of Polymer Clay TV and us being in business together, Kira and I. And we just wanted to thank you for supporting us and watching our show and all the things you do. So thank you very much. And today I just wanted to show you a few things using our long silk screens. So you can use them for all kinds of things, of course, but there are some things that are really fun to do with it. And these are what they look like. And orange side is always down with our silk screens. And they're nice and long, so you can do bracelets, of course. We had showed a brief little thing on that, but I've since started playing more, and I've used it in unusual ways that isn't a bracelet, and I'll show you those as well. I really like the way these shapes are, and I'll show you how I got those. This has like an Indian feel to it from India, which I really like. So anyways, we're going to be using cookie cutters to make these shapes, obviously, but let's start with the bracelet and go from there. So let me move all this away. I started by silk screening on bronze clay, and this is the Primo brand bronze clay, and I used the Waverly chalk in the color Lagoon. I just love the way this chalk paint looks. It's by Waverly, and you can get it at Walmart. It's not expensive, so I got the big one this time because I used the small one up. So, okay, so you're wondering probably, all right, how do I get it to the size of my cuff, or what do I do? So I like to use a ruler and kind of cut off my edge. This seems to help for me. But you can use whatever works for you. And you just run your blade across. Ooh, and pull away any extra. And then I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Obviously you have to let your paint dry in between, you know, silk screening it. And just line it up so you think it's straight. And there you have it. And try not to distort it while you're doing it, like I always do. Okay, there we go. So we have this nice strip that we can then place on our cuff. However, there's some extra space on either side, so it can go wider. So I was thinking I would take this one and cut it in half. So let's do that first. Let me set this aside. And I'll do that the same with my ruler. And I'm going to start by cutting it right in half first, and then I'll cut the pieces off. Ooh, don't move your ruler. And there we have that. So I've got I'll have two sections when I cut the other side off. Let me just trim this here where I kind of went squirrely. Okay, so now I've got that long piece. Let me trim that up too. So, you know, the thing is, you guys know me. I'm a bull in a china shop. I don't get things right always on the first chance, so you can always clean up. So don't ever stress about that. Okay, so now I want to do the other, cut this other piece out. Come on, ruler. And kind of line it up there. I like using a metal ruler better than one of these, and I really screwed that one up, but that's okay because I'm going to be cutting it off. It's going to be too big if I don't. So you've got 3 strips. You can set the side. I mean, this is gorgeous on its own, so you can do your own, all kinds of stuff with that too. So we're going to start with this middle piece, and you kind of want to get it as close to the middle as possible. And I'm going to let this design actually start a little, I don't know if you can see this, past the edge of the cuff. That way if I decide to bend it around in any way, the design's still there. So just lay it where you think it needs to be. All the way across. And you should actually have extra, probably, like I do. And you can cut that off if you want. Now I'm going to leave some of the extra on there in case, like I said, I want to bend it over or whatever. But it would help if I cut it right. There we go. So I'm just going to leave it like that extra for now. I'll trim everything up after. So now I'm going to come back with the strips and add them to the edge. Again, going a little over with my design. And then I'm piecing this all together with my fingers. And you know, people ask all the time, well, how do you get rid of the seam? And what do? There are several ways you can do that. You can use your fingers, which I find to be my best tool. You can use some rubber tools that you can use a knitting needle to help smooth it, whatever works for you. And you can even use your acrylic rod to kind of go over and smooth it, which works really well. You know, you just got to be careful not to distort it. And you can see it's forming a really, really nice bracelet here. And you would just continue until you get it all smoothed out the way you want it. Okay, so let me move on to the other side and get that on. Let me just cut this little bit out. And save your little scraps. There's so many things you can do with it. And I'll show you, like I said, that other one, how it got that shape and after I'm done with this. So, but you do want to make sure you've got a nice connection here on the side with these, you know, pieces before you even think about baking it. So let me do the other side now. Again, we're going to start the edge. Let me just trim this up where I missed it a little bit. And then I'm going to just start again more towards the end with the design and piece it on there. So I get it to adhere nicely. Look at how cute this is. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So it creates a really, like a fun frilly edge to it. So just piece that all the way on. And when you piece it on, then you're going to start your cleanup and get it to really, you know, look finished. And so that starts by trimming out the edges, obviously. Let me do this bottom side here. I don't know that I'm going to bring it across. I think what I'm going to do is just trim the whole thing. I thought I might fold it over, but I don't really want to do that. I've changed my mind. So let me just go ahead and flush cut this as best as I can. And how I do this, I don't know if you can see this, but my blade is touching the edge of the cuff, and I'm just cutting away right at the edge. See how it is there? Right at the edge, you just cut it away. And you do the same on the other end. That way you know you got the exact shape you need. I mean, the exact length you need. Now, one of the things is I have a big wrist. I made my cuff to the size of my wrist. So we actually have these bases in our shop at createalong.com. And you can move them, you can bend them, so you can make them bigger if you need to make them bigger. You can make them smaller if you need to make them smaller. So that's one good thing about it, but you want to make sure you do that before you even start to make your cuff. That way it's to the size you need. And so just again, you know, continue. I'm not going to spend too much time on smoothing it out here, but you get the gist, you know, of making it really, really nice. So now our edges. You do want to have a sharper blade for the edges because you don't want it dragging it. And sometimes it's best to like kind of put it down and cut off your edges like this, like so. You want a starting point for where you can drag your blade. You should be able to see that right there. You can take your blade and go flush with the form and cut it off in an easy fashion that way. And it'll be exactly to the size you need. And you just take it all the way along. And there you have that. A nice flush edge. And you just continue around, doing it all the way around the cuff. And when you're done, if you need to smooth out anything, once again, you can do that with your hands or a tool. Let me just cut this edge a little right there. It makes it easier for me to go around and start. Again, I'm just pressing a little on the edge of the metal cuff, and it allows me to get a really nice straight line that goes around. And so then any cleanup you need to do, you can just kind of do that at this point before you put it in the oven, obviously. We can certainly bling this up a little and add things to it. Let's see. I have some crystals here. Some nice blue. Ooh, these would be perfect. And I love the idea of putting them right in the middle there. But you know, the cuff is not super thick. You can do it two ways. You can make a thin cuff, or if you want it thicker, you would put a solid layer of the color underneath that. So you would have two layers and meld them together. But since this isn't super thick, let's do something a little different. Let's take some of our scraps, and I don't want a heavy cuff anyways, so let's take out, you know, just little pieces of what's left on our silkscreen piece here. Let me grab a tool to push this out. And let's put this right here in the middle so that it goes, and then add a little crystal right in there. And that's simple to do. You can use a skewer, the end of your knitting needle, whatever you want to push that in there. And then you can just keep expanding from there and adding more bling or fancy it up whatever way you want. And so when you get it exactly the way you want, and it's all looking pretty, then you want to go ahead and bake it in the oven for the temperature recommended on the brand of clay you used. And I used Primo, so I would do 275, and I always put it in for a minimum of 25 minutes. The chemist over there recommends that you always bake for 25 minutes initially, and that'll set your clay. You can bake multiple times, so if I wanted to bake this and then come back and add to it, I could do that as well. So, but the initial baking you want to do for 25 minutes at least. So that's just a little tip. And let's get over to one last thing I wanted to show you before we head out, and that is how I got this little shape. I'm going to finish this up, and I'll put photos on the website at Polymer Clay TV for you to see, and save all your little scraps because they'll come in handy to add and decorate and whatever, now that you know how to get started. So let's use this piece here. And what I did was I picked an area obviously that I wanted to do, and I cut out, you know, the section. And let's do two of those. I can't really see if I'm in the right section, but you guys will get the gist. So, and then let's do two smaller, say using this design. And so how I did this shape right here, let me put these on, I think you'll be able to see these better on the white because of the color of the clay. So what I did after this is I came in and I cut, using the same circle cutter, the edges like so. One edge, and then I came back and did it on this side. And so this creates this like scallop that you can use face side up or down. So you could actually have it hanging this way, or you could have it hanging this way, and get totally different looks with it. And you know, this is just graduated circle cutters like we have. You know, you just graduate the circle and cut it like that, and you get a whole new look, which I love. I totally love it. It's so fun and dangly, and just reminds me of like Indian tapestries, and just we love it. So anyways, that's it. Come on over to polymerclaytv.com to see the finished bracelet once I bling it up some more. And I hope you have fun with this, and check out our long silk screens. They're in the shop at createalong.com. And thanks again for 10 wonderful, amazing years and a journey that I will never forget. Have a great day. Thanks.